Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered how did life on Earth even begin? Where did it all come from? Billions of years ago, Earth was nothing like the planet we know today. There were no trees, no animals, not even a hint of bacteria, just a hot, barren, and violent planet spinning through space. But from this lifeless rock, somehow, something extraordinary happened. Life sparked into existence. And that spark changed everything. Today, let us dive deep into one of the greatest mysteries of science. How did life begin on Earth? Was it a lucky accident, a cosmic inevitability, or something else entirely? To understand how life originated, we first need to grasp what makes something alive. Scientists typically define life using four main criteria. It should have raw materials, the ability to replicate, a boundary separating it from the environment, and a form of metabolism to generate energy. These four pillars, raw materials, replication, boundary, and metabolism, help us understand how non-living molecules transformed into living cells. Let's begin with the raw materials. The universe is full of basic building blocks. Hydrogen and helium, formed shortly after the Big Bang, make up most of the universe. Over time, in the hearts of stars, heavier elements like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen were born through the process of nuclear fusion. When stars exploded in massive supernova, these heavier elements were scattered across space. Eventually, gravity pulled some of this stardust together, forming new stars, planets, and everything else. Yes, it's true. Everything around you, including your body, is made from stardust. You are literally a product of cosmic history. Now, let's zoom in to our own solar system. When the solar system was forming around 4.6 billion years ago, Earth was just a molten ball of rock. But as it cooled, things began to change. Water vapor condensed into rain, forming oceans. The atmosphere thickened. Volcanoes erupted, releasing gases into the air. And from outer space, meteors and comets bombarded Earth, carrying with them complex molecules. Today, scientists believe that space is like a vast chemical factory. It's not just lifeless vacuum, it's full of organic compounds. These molecules, like amino acids and carbon chains, might have hitched a ride to Earth on these space rocks, providing the initial ingredients for life. In other words, Earth may not have had to create everything from scratch. Instead, the universe may have already delivered a starter kit. Now, with raw materials in place, how did these chemicals become more complex? Enter the famous primordial soup hypothesis. This theory proposes that Earth had shallow pools or oceans rich in inorganic molecules. These were like chemical soups filled with ammonia, methane, water vapor, and other gases. Add lightning strikes, heat from volcanoes, and ultraviolet light from the sun, and you've got yourself a natural laboratory. Imagine this. A lightning bolt strikes a small pond brimming with chemicals. That one spark triggers a chain reaction, forming the first organic molecules. Charles Darwin himself speculated back in 1871 that life might have begun in a warm little pond with the right mix of ingredients and energy. But was this just a guess? No, in 1953, scientists Stanley Miller and Hydrothermal put this idea to the test. They created a sealed glass container filled with gases thought to be present on early Earth: ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor. Then they simulated lightning by introducing electrical sparks. After a few days, they discovered something astonishing. Amino acids, the fundamental building blocks of life, had formed. This experiment was groundbreaking. It showed that life's building blocks could form spontaneously under the right conditions. But building blocks alone aren't enough. Life also needs replication, the ability to make copies of itself. For this, let's turn to another idea. The clay mineral hypothesis. Scientists discovered that clay, particularly certain types of mineral-rich clay, can attract and bind organic molecules on its surface. These clay surfaces act like scaffolding, allowing simple molecules to connect and form more complex structures. Over time, this could lead to the formation of RNA, the molecule that many scientists believe came before DNA. Why RNA? Because RNA is special. Unlike DNA, which needs complex machinery to replicate, some RNA molecules can make copies of themselves. This self-replicating ability is key. In fact, there's a whole theory based on this called the RNA world hypothesis. It suggests that before DNA and proteins, there was RNA. These early RNA molecules could store genetic information and replicate without help. But where did the first RNA come from? In 2009, a scientist named John Sutherland conducted an experiment showing that under the right conditions, basic chemicals like hydrogen cyanide and acetylene exposed to ultraviolet light could form RNA nucleotides. This gave new life to the idea that RNA could indeed have emerged naturally on early Earth. Alright, so we've got molecules and replication. What's next? Boundaries. For something to be alive, it needs to be separate from its environment. It needs an inside and an outside. This is where fatty acids come in. If you've ever studied soap molecules, you'll know they have a hydrophilic end and a hydrophobic end. When placed in water, these molecules spontaneously form spheres trapping some of the water and any molecules inside. These spheres are called liposomes and are very similar to modern cell membranes. Over time, some of these liposomes might have trapped RNA molecules inside them. This would create a structure where replication could occur in a protected environment. A primitive cell, also known as a protocells, are thought to be the ancestors of modern cells. They were simple, membrane-bound spheres that could grow, replicate, and even evolve. But for replication to continue, these protocells needed energy. So how did metabolism begin? The answer may lie deep in the ocean. On the ocean floor, there are hydrothermal vents, cracks in the Earth's crust that release mineral-rich superheated water. These vents create a perfect environment for chemical reactions. Scientists proposed that life might have started here, where protocells could absorb nutrients and energy from the hot water around them. This idea is called the hydrothermal vent theory. It suggests that early life got its start in the nutrient-rich, warm waters near these vents. The first protocells might have absorbed molecules needed to make amino acids, RNA, and lipids, and expelled waste into the surrounding water. This was the beginning of metabolism, taking in energy, using it, and discarding waste. As life evolved, some cells began to drift away from the vents. Without this steady supply of nutrients, they had to find new ways to survive. Some began to consume other cells, a behavior we now call predation. Others cooperated, forming symbiotic relationships. These early behaviors still exist in modern life. Think of honeybees pollinating flowers or animals hunting prey. But before we get there, we need to understand some key players in early life. There are three main groups: bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. Bacteria and archaea are both types of prokaryote, simple, single-celled organisms without a nucleus. But despite their similarities, they evolved separately. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, are more complex. They have nuclei and organelles and include all multicellular life, like plants and animals. Around 2 billion years ago, in Earth's oceans, bacteria and archaea lived close to each other. Some bacteria began feeding on the waste produced by archaea. Over time, this relationship became more intimate. In one groundbreaking event, a bacterium entered an archaeal cell. Instead of being destroyed, it was allowed to stay. This symbiosis marked the beginning of eukaryotic cells. The bacterium eventually became mitochondria, the energy powerhouse of the cell. This idea was proposed by biologist Lynn Margulies in the 1960s. She discovered that mitochondria have their own DNA different from the cell's main DNA. Mitochondria's DNA resembles that of a type of bacteria known to cause typhus. This was the smoking gun. Mitochondria were once free-living bacteria. This merger changed everything. With mitochondria providing extra energy, eukaryotic cells could afford to be more complex. They developed larger genomes, more intricate functions, and, eventually, the ability to form multicellular organisms. To give you an idea of the leap this represented, a typical eukaryotic cell can manage a genome 200,000 times larger than a bacterial cell and support 200,000 times more energy usage. Without mitochondria, complex life wouldn't be possible. So, how long did all of this take? The transformation from non-living molecules to single-celled organisms to complex lifeforms was not quick. It took billions of years. Scientists estimate that the first life appeared on Earth between 3.7 and 4 billion years ago. But multicellular life didn't emerge until about 1.5 billion years ago. That means Earth was home to single-celled organisms for over 2 billion years before anything more complex evolved. Each step from raw materials to metabolism required the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. So yes, it took a lot. But here we are, billions of years later, telling stories, asking questions, and looking up at the stars that created us. We truly are made of stardust. If you found this video insightful, make sure to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to The Secret Tales to stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the cosmos and beyond.